Imagine building an entire capital city. From scratch. Not just any city, a city meant to represent power, democracy, and the birth of a new nation. But here's the twist: Washington D.C. wasn't always supposed to be the capital. In fact, the United States didn't even have a permanent capital for the first few years of its existence. So, why was Washington D.C. created? Why this location, between Virginia and Maryland? And who decided how it would look? Who would live there? And what it would represent? The answers will surprise you. From political deals made behind closed doors, to a Frenchman's grand design. This is the untold story of how America's capital was born. Get ready to uncover the secrets behind one of the most powerful cities on earth, Washington, D.C., why a capital was needed. The year is 1783. The American Revolutionary War had just ended. The colonies had won their freedom from the British Empire. A new nation was born. But here's the problem: there was no permanent capital. Congress met in different cities. Philadelphia, Princeton, Annapolis, even New York. The government was wandering. It had no fixed home? And that was dangerous. No stability. No central authority. No real symbol of unity. In 1783, something happened that made this crisis impossible to ignore. A group of angry soldiers surrounded Congress in Philadelphia. They hadn't been paid after the war, and they demanded their money. Congress panicked. The Pennsylvania state militia refused to protect them. So Congress fled. Literally ran out of their own meeting place. That moment proved one thing: America needed a capital. Not just a meeting room. A safe, permanent seat of government. A neutral zone. A place that wasn't part of any one state's politics or power. A place that could represent all the states equally. That's when the idea of a federal district was born. But deciding where to put it, that's where things get interesting. Because what came next wasn't just a plan, it was a political chess match. In the next chapter, the secret deal that determined the capital's location. And why Washington, D.C. ended up right where it is today. The political compromise, why D.C. is where it is. The year is 1790. The United States is still young. And Congress is stuck. Every state wanted the capital close to them. No one could agree. Northern states pushed for Philadelphia or New York. Southern states wanted it farther down, closer to Virginia or the Carolinas. Tension was rising. Then came a secret dinner. Three powerful men sat down in a private meeting: Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison. Their mission? Solve two problems at once. Hamilton wanted the federal government to take over all state debts from the Revolutionary War. But southern states, they'd already paid off most of theirs. They didn't want to bail out the North. So Hamilton made a deal: support my plan for the national debt, and I'll support placing the capital in the South. That dinner deal changed history. Congress agreed to build a new capital city on the Potomac River, right between Maryland and Virginia. A place that wasn't part of any existing state. Neutral ground. A federal district. President George Washington, who owned land nearby, chose the exact spot. And that's how Washington, D.C. got its name. A city planned by compromise. Powered by politics. and placed by a president. But a plan is one thing. Building a city from nothing, that's an entirely different challenge. Designing a capital, the Frenchman behind the blueprint location was chosen. The deal was made. But now, someone had to build the city. Enter Pierre-Charles L'Enfant, a French-born architect. He'd fought in the American Revolution. And now, he was chosen by George Washington to design the capital of a nation. No pressure, right? L'Enfant had a vision. A city unlike anything America had seen. Wide boulevards, grand vistas, public squares. A design inspired by the great capitals of Europe, but built for a republic. A place where power would be visible, but shared. His design placed the capital on one hill, the president's house on another, connected by a sweeping avenue, what we now call Pennsylvania Avenue. He even planned for monuments and museums, long before they were ever built. L'Enfant imagined something timeless, something monumental. But here's the twist: L'Enfant clashed with officials. He refused to compromise. Eventually, he was fired, before his masterpiece was completed. Much of his plan was used, but he died in poverty, never seeing the city he dreamed of. Today, his vision lives on. Washington, D.C. isn't just a city. It's a symbol of compromise, of ambition, and of the never-ending experiment called democracy. A capital built by visionaries, carved from swampland, and shaped by the belief that government should belong to the people. This is the story of how Washington, D.C. was born, and why it still matters, more than ever. If you enjoyed this journey through history, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that shaped our world. And let us know in the comments, what city would you have chosen as the US capital?